Emily never imagined that a simple baby monitor would become the reason her entire life changed. For 7 years, she believed she had a happy marriage. Her husband, Daniel, was caring, successful, and adored their 2-year-old daughter, Lily. Friends often called them the perfect family. Their social media showed vacations, birthdays, smiling selfies, and cozy evenings together. But sometimes, perfection hides the darkest secrets. It all started on a rainy Thursday morning. Emily had accepted an extra shift at the hospital where she worked as a pediatric nurse. She kissed Lily goodbye, grabbed her keys, and told Daniel she'd be gone until evening. "I'll take good care of our princess," Daniel smiled. Emily smiled back and drove away. 10 minutes later, she realized she'd forgotten an important patient file at home. Instead of texting Daniel, she decided to quietly return, grab the folder, and leave again. As she parked around the corner, her phone buzzed. The baby monitor app automatically connected because Lily was still sleeping upstairs. Emily smiled, expecting to hear soft breathing. Instead, she heard Daniel's voice. "She's gone." His tone was completely different. Cold, relieved. Emily frowned. A second later, another woman's voice came through the speaker. "Are you sure?" Emily's heart skipped. Daniel laughed. "She won't be back for hours." Emily froze inside her car. Another woman. Inside her house. She wanted to believe she was misunderstanding everything. Maybe it was a work colleague. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe. But then she heard footsteps, followed by laughter. The woman spoke again. "I still can't believe she hasn't figured it out." Emily felt the blood drain from her face. Her hands trembled so badly she almost dropped her phone. Daniel answered with a chuckle. "Emily believes everything I tell her." The words stabbed deeper than any knife. Tears filled her eyes. 7 years together. And this was how he spoke about her. Emily couldn't move. She watched the front door from her parked car, terrified of what she might see. Minutes later, the curtains moved. A woman she'd never seen before walked into the living room holding Lily in her arms. Emily's breathing stopped. Why was a stranger carrying her daughter? Daniel wrapped an arm around the woman and kissed her on the forehead. Emily couldn't believe her eyes. Everything she thought she knew about her marriage was collapsing in front of her. But what happened next was even more disturbing. The woman looked toward Lily and whispered, "Soon, she'll know me as Mommy." Emily's world shattered. She wanted to storm inside. She wanted to scream. But something deep inside told her, "Don't move. Not yet." Because whatever Daniel was hiding, she had only heard the beginning. Emily's first instinct was to burst through the front door. Every part of her wanted to grab Lily, confront Daniel, and demand an explanation. But years of working as a pediatric nurse had taught her one thing: when emotions take over, people make mistakes. She forced herself to stay in the car. Her hands shook as she opened the baby monitor app again. She turned the volume all the way up and pressed the record button on her phone. If Daniel was hiding something, she needed proof. Inside the house, the woman sat on the couch while Daniel brought her a cup of coffee. "I hate sneaking around," the woman said quietly. "We won't have to much longer," Daniel replied. "Everything is almost ready." Emily's stomach tightened. Almost ready? Ready for what? The woman glanced upstairs toward Lily's room. "Are you sure she won't fight for custody?" Daniel laughed. A laugh Emily had never heard before. Emily is too trusting. She signs whatever I put in front of her. She doesn't even read the paperwork. Emily's heart pounded. Suddenly she remembered. Over the last few months, Daniel had asked her to sign several financial documents, saying they were for taxes, refinancing the house, and updating insurance. She had signed every one. Without reading. Now she wondered what she'd actually agreed to. The woman leaned closer. And the house? Daniel smiled. It's already in motion. Once everything is finalized, she'll leave with almost nothing. Emily felt sick. She and Daniel had spent years saving for that home. She had worked night shifts, holidays, and weekends to help pay for it. Now it sounded like he'd been planning to take it away. Just then, Lily's soft cry echoed through the monitor. The woman stood up. I'll get her. No, Daniel said firmly. Let me. Emily would notice if Lily suddenly became attached to someone else. Emily covered her mouth to stop herself from crying. He wasn't protecting Lily. He was protecting his plan. Daniel carried Lily downstairs. She reached for his face and giggled, completely unaware of the storm surrounding her. The woman smiled warmly at the little girl. I can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. Daniel kissed her hand. Soon, Emily's phone buzzed. It was a message from her best friend, Sarah. How's work going? Emily stared at the screen for several seconds before replying. I'm not at work. I think my husband has been lying to me for months. Sarah called immediately. Emily answered in a whisper. You need to come over, she said, trying not to cry. What happened? Emily explained everything. There was silence on the other end. Finally, Sarah spoke. Emily, don't confront him. Why? Because if he's really planning something with your finances and your daughter, he'll destroy evidence the second he realizes you know. Emily looked back at her house. For the first time, it no longer felt like home. It felt like the scene of a carefully planned betrayal. She wiped away her tears and started the engine. She wasn't going inside. Not yet. Instead, she drove straight to the bank. She had one question that suddenly mattered more than anything else. Exactly what had Daniel convinced her to sign? She had no idea that the answer waiting at the bank would be even more shocking than what she'd heard on the baby monitor. Emily drove to the bank with trembling hands, replaying every word she'd heard through the baby monitor. She kept hoping there was some innocent explanation, but deep down she already knew the truth. Daniel had been living a double life. When she arrived, she asked to speak with a branch manager. I need copies of every document I've signed in the last year, she said. The manager looked at her ID, typed for a few moments, and frowned. Of course. It may take a few minutes. Emily sat in the waiting area, unable to keep her leg from shaking. Finally, a thick folder landed on the desk in front of her. As she flipped through the pages, her heart sank. There was a loan she barely remembered signing. There was a power of attorney document she had assumed was routine paperwork. Then she reached a property agreement. According to the papers, Daniel had quietly transferred most of the ownership of their house into a business trust he controlled. Her signature was there. She stared at it in disbelief. I never agreed to this. The manager looked sympathetic. If you believe you signed under false pretenses, you should speak with an attorney immediately. Emily thanked him, gathered the copies, and walked out with tears filling her eyes. She sat in her car for nearly 10 minutes before calling her older brother, Michael. What's wrong?" he answered. For the first time that day, Emily broke down completely. She told him everything: the woman in the house, the baby monitor, the paperwork, and Daniel's plan. Michael didn't interrupt. When she finished, he spoke calmly. "Listen to me. Don't let Daniel know what you've discovered. Come to my house tonight with Lily if you can. We'll figure this out together." Emily nodded, even though he couldn't see her. That evening, she returned home as if nothing had happened. Daniel greeted her with his usual smile. "Long day." "The longest," Emily replied, forcing herself to smile back. He hugged her, and for the first time, the embrace felt cold. During dinner, Daniel chatted about work, laughed at Lily's little jokes, and acted like the perfect husband. Emily watched him carefully. How had she never seen through the performance? Later that night, after Daniel fell asleep, Emily quietly unlocked his phone. She had guessed his passcode months ago but had never felt the need to use it. Now, she opened his messages. Her stomach turned. There were hundreds of texts between Daniel and the mystery woman. Photos, vacation plans, messages dating back almost 2 years. One text made Emily's blood run cold. "Once everything is finalized, Emily will think leaving was her idea. She'll walk away with nothing, and we'll finally have the life we deserve." Emily took screenshots and sent them to a secure cloud account before deleting any trace that she'd touched the phone. Then she opened his email. There it was. A message from a private investigator. Attached was a report about Emily. Someone had been following her, recording where she went, who she met, what time she came home. Daniel hadn't just betrayed her. He had been secretly watching her for months. Emily carefully placed the phone back on the nightstand and looked over at Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib. She gently held her daughter's tiny hand and whispered, "I promise, no matter what happens next, I'll protect you." Outside, thunder echoed across the sky. Emily knew the storm inside her marriage had only just begun. But this time, she wasn't the unsuspecting